years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey everybody, this is Alex Bennett. This is the Ramble, and we'll be here from now until midnight Eastern Daylight Time. And we got a little friend for you to put up with here. Let's just check in with our old friend.
All right, everybody, it's time for us to do a ritual in which we actually wind up calling somebody in advance here because they always answer in the most unusual fashion.
And now the words of the Big Bopper's wife. He used to just lay there even before the plane crash, and his bopper wasn't so big if you catch my drift. Hello?
The Big Bopper.
Rock and roll history, the Boppettes.
You know, the Big Bopper would hardly have been remembered if he hadn't died with Buddy Holly in a plane crash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, he was a disc jockey. He was real smart, and he would probably have owned many radio stations.
Probably.
So I think he would have done okay.
Yeah.
But he had that one. He had other songs too, but they only had that one hit. So
what was his real name? What was his real name?
J.P. Richardson, Giles Perry Richardson.
Oh, that's the kind of crap.
That?
That's the kind of crap Stephen Pearl always remembers.
I know things, damn it, things that keep me poor. These are the facts that keep me in the poorhouse, folks.
Yeah, but these are pretty good. And then Richie Valens, of course, was in that plane as well.
Yep, he was in the plane, and Buddy Holly, of course, and the idiot pilot named Roger Peterson, who went down when he thought he was going up. The fool.
Well, you know what happens? I'll tell you. People who die like that, who are famous, get frozen in time. So
they're forever young. They're forever in that time, that era.
Yeah, so they stay that way. Like, for instance, I've said a number of times, if James Dean were still alive, would he be the icon that he is? But, he was frozen in time as that James Dean.
That's right.
Okay?
Yeah.
If you had to see him today, I talked to Mark Frost, who did Twin Peaks, and I once asked him the question. I said I often had the theory that if James Dean were still alive, he'd be on Twin Peaks. He said, "Oh yeah, I would have hired him on as the owner of the hotel or whatever." And but what would have happened to James Dean? I don't think anything amazing. All right.
He would have done some good movies, He could have done some parts that De Niro did later on. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I think he would have kept working once you're a successful actor. You've had some, good movies under your belt. If he could age into it,
Yeah.
He would have played a grandpa in some dark comedy. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah.
But Buddy Holly could have been in and out of rehab and, had a bad trip on acid. And who the hell knows?
He probably would have played Archie's father on Riverdale. There
you go. Perfect.
Who knows what would have happened to James Dean because we will always remember him with that iconic look. He froze in time. And
he's always 24. It's always 1955.
And that's what makes him iconic. So I question as to whether, I have a dear friend who actually discovered James Dean. And I brought this up to him, and he says he thinks he would have done okay. That he was that good an actor.
He was a talented actor. If he didn't lose his mind or anything, he would have done okay. I think he would have done very well.
Yeah,
he would have had a career. He just would have been. He'd be a really old guy now. He'd be dead now from old age. Who knows?
Well, how about Richie Valens? How would Richie Valens be today?
Richie Valens was a good guitar player. He'd probably be doing an oldie show in Vegas and just retiring now. Come on, everybody! La 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 la.
Well, what he did had one hit, right?
I think he may have La Bamba. He had Donna. He had Come On, Let's Go. I think he had at least 3. So
yeah,
they kind of sounded like each other. Who knows? He'd probably be a Vegas guy now, or I don't know how innovative he was, or he would have been. Yeah. Buddy Holly was starting to write some really good songs. I think he would have been a major producer. He had just discovered Waylon Jennings, who was on that tour with him, playing bass on that last tour, who was supposed to be on the plane. So Buddy Holly would have done very, very well. We might not even have needed the Beatles if Buddy Holly had lived, because those last songs he did and the ones he left behind, like those acoustic songs he left behind before he went on the tour, are fucking brilliant, like early Dylan or just early Beatles quality.
Yeah, well, but who knows what would have happened to these people? But instead, they got frozen in time. Their songs got frozen. Their songs got frozen in time. Their legacy got frozen in time, and that freezing in time. A lot of these people, are probably worth more today dead than they were alive, because there are agents. There are agents who handle dead artists.
I just got the Buddy Holly contract. I can do whatever I want with them.
No, but
I can put them in dwarf porn if I want.
Well, as an example, if you were this kind of agent of dead stars, and you just got the count for Michael Jackson, that'd be worth a lot of money to you, because you're talking.
Oh, you got the laser tours and products, anything. He can still sell, even though he's dead. Jim Morrison could probably sell stuff.
Elvis Presley still sells to this day and makes several $1 million a year.
Definitely.
So
you want anything but a potato chip, crunching all the time. Yeah, it's Elvis's favorite potato chips.
Yeah, I mean, if those people were alive today, they would not be making that kind of money. Many of them. So
probably, who knows? Yeah. Probably. They'd probably be like 300 pounds and just laying on their asses going, I once had a career.
So you're better off dead.
Better off dead. Better off to be. Go, get out. The message of today's show is go kill yourself.
Yeah, go kill yourself.
Get yourself frozen in time.
Yeah.
You'll be.
Who else? Who else? What other big stars died in their prime and that we...
Oh, you got Jimi Hendrix, you got Jim Morrison, you got Janis Joplin, you got Dwayne Allman, you got too many of them, so many. Oh Lord!
Okay, I think today Janis Joplin would be nothing. Okay, she would be she would be remembered for what she did, not for what she's doing. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, on the other hand, is a hard call as to what he would be like today. It could well be that Jimi Hendrix probably didn't do much more after what he already did. I mean, he kind of died when his career was waning a little bit, And
I think he was just in between deciding which direction he was going to go in. I think it would have been like Johnny Winter, who made it to 70. He just would have just kept playing kick-ass guitar and this song or that song or whatever, and kept going till he ran out of gas.
Yeah. How about...
he's a good songwriter. He could have kept writing songs and just playing, and probably playing clubs and shit, but, because nobody wants to see like an 80-year-old guy, so even if it's Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, how about Jim Morrison?
Ooh, unless he went to rehab and took care of himself, he'd be like a fat old drunk. He'd be out here on the Vegas Strip going, hey, you got $1? Come here. I used to be a door. Oh, God, he's sitting in his pants. Let's get out of here. No, he can sing the end, he's sitting in his pants again. Let's get away from Jim.
You don't think he
could...
Even
Ray Manzarek distance himself.
You don't think he could have straightened his life out and just done a comeback?
What's that?
You don't think he could have straightened his life out and done a comeback?
Oh, sure. I don't know if they had good rehab then. He was a bad alcoholic, man. But I saw the Doors when I was like 12, the Doors and the Who on the same bill, and he was in top form then, and they were amazing. So but a lot of it, a good deal, it had to do with the way he looked. He looked really good, but he wouldn't look so good as he got older. So, but he was a poet, and I think he would have been if he took care of himself, and got smart, and got off the sauce. he would have done okay. He'd probably be some beat poet and some legendary Jim Morrison will be reading his poetry downstairs at the Big Ben tonight.
Well, I've often said how bad a president would Kennedy have turned out to be if he hadn't been assassinated?
He might have been a nothing president.
Yeah.
Really, besides the missiles of October, what really was going on? We weren't in Vietnam yet. There was no student unrest. It was civil rights and shit was going on.
He came up with a lot of stuff he wanted to pass. Okay.
Yeah.
But was not really able to because he didn't know how to play the game. On the other hand, when he died, Lyndon Johnson took it upon himself to finish all the programs that Kennedy wanted to see done. And that's why Lyndon Johnson then went on to be, I think, the president who passed more social legislation than any other president in history.
Yeah. And, of course, there was a little mistake he made called Vietnam, but other from that, if you're going to nitpick.
Well, he didn't know how to get out of Vietnam. He didn't know how to handle Vietnam. There are two kinds of presidents. There are domestic presidents and there are foreign policy presidents. Kennedy was very good at foreign policy because he had a world view. He had been to been to Paris, been to France. I can see your underpants. He had been to all, but domestically, Kennedy wasn't as good because really he wasn't a man of the people. He was a man of very rich parents and sent to the best schools and sequestered in wealth. So Johnson was very good at domestic social legislation. When it came to foreign policy, he was lost.
Yeah. My parents used to say that Johnson was very good domestically, but a real asshole with foreign policy. So.
Yeah.
But,
so Vietnam. Vietnam was something that was started by Kennedy. In that he sent over the first 15,000 troops as military advisors. Okay.
Oh.
And then they were over there, and then that escalated and escalated and escalated and escalated. But by the time Johnson got it, it was getting kind of stinky. And he just didn't think he could handle it. That's why he didn't run again. In fact, he couldn't. Yeah. Everybody hated him by then. He couldn't take the pressure. The most intuitive moment of my life was when I was sitting there watching Lyndon Johnson give a speech, I think about Vietnam. I can't remember what it was about. And I looked at the screen, and then I looked at everybody in the room, and I said, I think he's going to say he's not going to run for another term tonight. Whoa. And sure enough, at the end of the speech, he says, so I've decided not to run for another term. I remember watching that. I was in the 7th grade, and nobody could believe it. They go, oh, my God, now everybody's going to run as a Democrat. Yeah. And my parents supported Eugene McCarthy. I like Bobby Kennedy, and, of course, Bobby only got so far. So. Yeah. So, that changed everything. Lyndon served 4 years and another 1 or 2
after Kennedy, and then he beat up Goldwater. So in '64, and he went till early '69 when Dickey took over. Yeah. So I think in many ways Lyndon Johnson was one of the better presidents that we've had during my lifetime. Grab their balls and their hearts and minds will follow. Well, he did all the civil rights legislation. He did Medicare. Yeah, that's right. He did Medicare. Yeah. He made some mistakes in foreign policy, but it was far outweighed by the social legislation he did in America. And I think he'd be remembered as one of the best presidents of at least in my knowledge. I don't know of any better president, to be honest with you. Oh. I gotta give him a few demerits for Vietnam. He really fucked up there. Yeah, but that was handed to him. It was like it was handed to him, and he didn't know what it was. I think I'll just let this thing grow. Yeah, I have no idea what this is all about. It was a monster. It was, oh God, what a monster it became. Holy shit. Oh, it was terrible. It was just terrible. Yeah. It was one of the worst things that ever happened to this country. But it was the hubris of this country, too. I got to tell you,
You know, we had come out of World War II feeling that we had done something very good, and we did. You know, we really stopped certain ideologies in their tracks, and so we came back with this idea that we were the people who helped save the world. The fact was, actually, you know why the Russians hate us? The Russians hate us because in World War II, kids, if you're listening, I'm going to give you a little history lesson. In World War II, there was the idea of the second front. In other words, you start a front and you move into, I think it was Russia, and that's what, not into Russia, but into, I can't remember now. You did something where you had to help the Russians, protect themselves, all right?
Yeah.
The second front, I think, was going to be a protection of Russia. And we suddenly decided we weren't going to do that after agreeing to it. We were going to do D-Day. All right?
D-Day,
and so we went and did D-Day, and then we run around saying, we won the war. Look what we did. We saved the world for democracy, blah, 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 blah. And the Russians are going, because you didn't do that second front, you motherfuckers, we lost 25 million people.
Yeah.
Who are you to say you're the heroes of World War II? We're the heroes of World War II. You only lost, I don't know how many, about 500,000, I think, people died that were American. We lost 25 million.
Yeah.
You know, there's like the Battle of Stalingrad is an example, and so the Russians have always hated us for this ego that we have that says we were the saviors of World War II, when the Russians really are the people who truly stopped Hitler. You know,
they're the ones who were closing in on him. They were going to get him if he didn't blow his brains out, like the coward he was.
Yeah,
the Russians were closing in on Hitler. We weren't. So yeah.
So that's why the Russians hate us, and they have every reason to, because we didn't come to their rescue at a certain point with that second front that was being promised.
Yeah.
And to this day, they kind of do hold it against us, and with good reason. So
Well, maybe they should let it go. They're just jealous because we had Elvis.
What would have happened? Okay, since we're in this discussion, what would have happened to Hitler if he hadn't died in the bunker?
He'd probably have a candy shop somewhere in South America. Chico Gruber's pastries. Come, let's go. We even have bagels. They're tasty. What can you do?
Yes, you must eat the food.
He's a pastry shop. Come to Chico Gruber's pastries. It's good. Look at the little plastic. It's like little sugary pinwheels. They're so delicious.
Yes, they're delicious and wonderful. No, I'm wondering, to begin with, I don't know if they would have assassinated Hitler, if they would have executed Hitler. Because he was a world leader, and do you then turn around and execute him? Yeah,
they would have had to do something with him, or maybe with Rudolf Hess, just lock him in a cell till he died or something.
Well, Hess was in that prison till he died, right?
Rudolf Hess, I think he was shot down over England, I believe, and they just left him in a cell till 1987 when he croaked.
Yeah.
That unibrow, square-headed Nazi son of a bitch. Fucking unibrow Nazi. I think he had some Middle East in him with that eyebrow. They should have checked his papers.
Yeah, well, I want to know what, like with Hess, was he a hero because he flew to England and wanted to get away from Hitler, or was he a bad guy?
Oh, he loved Hitler. I think he was like representing him at a meeting or something. I don't know what happened, but he got shot down, or his plane went down.
No. He was trying to flee. He was trying to flee Germany.
Okay, right near the end. Yeah,
I think he was flying the plane, if I'm not mistaken. And he got shot down, and then he got captured, and then he got put on trial, and then he wound up in prison for the rest of his life. But the question is, was he was trying, I think, to get away from Hitler's Germany. Either that or he's fleeing out. He was fleeing out of sheer cowardice.
I think he was fleeing because he was like a real ass kisser to Hitler. He used to introduce him in the speeches. Let me do 5 minutes of comedy and then I introduce you. How about that? Right. Okay, don't forget to read that my resume. I was chancellor and all that.
I wonder if he ever looked back at Hitler after one of his big introductions and said, "Follow that, motherfucker."
Follow that, motherfucker. I'm going to make a speech and set the podium on fire when I sing Great Balls of Fire. I got this from Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah.
Scary. Scary shit.
Well, what would have happened if Chuck Berry had he lived? Oh, no, wait a minute. He did.
Yeah. What would it be like if Chuck Berry didn't pay his taxes? Oh, wait a minute.
What would it be like if Chuck Berry had a prostate problem? It's a little it's a little peeing joke there, folks.
There you
go. Yeah, what was that with? There was a video, isn't there, of Chuck Berry peeing on a woman?
Yes, I have that video somewhere in one of these boxes here. It's I have that. Somebody sent me that video a long time ago.
And
it's in a hot tub somewhere in this house, and it's a
very
young blonde lady, and Chuck farts in her face and pisses in her face, and yikes! This is the guy who did Johnny B. Good.
Yeah, but I think there's a line in there where he says, "Oh, come on, baby, it's only pee."
I think he says, "I can't kiss you. You smell like pee."
Did he say that?
Kiss me. I can't kiss you. You smell like pee.
Yeah, supposedly,
smell my fart. Smell my fart. Chuck Berry.
Supposedly, it's more fun to watch for the audio than it is for the video. I mean that there's a lot of
the video is a little washed out, but you can still, it's like a silhouette, but you can still tell who it is, and it's definitely his voice.
Chuck Berry spent time in jail. You remember that?
He's been in jail. He's been in jail a few times. He's been in the 70s for tax evasion. I think he did 4 months, and in the 50s or early 60s for violating the Mann Act.
Yes, which was taking a woman across state lines for immoral purposes.
Yep.
Which was an
and they had one.
It was an anti-prostitution law, but it was used against him just because he brought a white woman across state lines, and they didn't like him taking white women across state lines.
Yep. In fact, the first trial for that was so racist. Even in the 50s, they had to declare a mistrial and have another trial because they referred to him. Now this Negro here took this lovely white girl across. It was like one of those trials.
This Negro boy
to kill a mockingbird. They referred to him as this Negro here. And even Chuck goes, "No, let's do this all over again."
Who is the? Let's do a quick little argument here before we have about a couple of minutes left on who invented rock and roll. I say that the guy who invented it, I used to believe it was Chuck Berry, because Chuck Berry really came out with the rock and roll riff, right?
Oh yeah,
wouldn't you say he was the father of rock and roll? But,
yeah, you could argue and say there was like rock and roll before him, I know
supposedly
blues numbers in there, but no, I'd say it was between Little Richard's the queen of rock and roll and Chuck Berry's the king of rock and roll.
Well,
because they wrote their own songs and they played instruments and they just really did something.
I'm going to bring up one other name because he, I think, had the first true rock and roll record hit. Okay, and that was Ike Turner with Rocket 88.
Rocket 88, Jackie Brenston, and Ike Turner, I think he played on it. But
no, Ike Turner.
Jackie Brenston.
Ike Turner, I think, either wrote it or it was an Ike Turner record.
No, it was a Jackie Brenston record.
Oh, really? Yeah, but supposedly Ike Turner created that song and maybe the record itself. And,
he was a talent scout and a producer and a songwriter. Yeah. He did a lot of stuff. It was more to Ike than just beating the crap out of Tina.
And they say that was ostensibly the first rock and roll record.
Yeah.
That you could identify as rock and roll.
Yeah. There was other that you could do. Roy Brown did Good Rockin' Tonight in 1949, I believe.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a rock and roll record before Elvis got his hands on it. that could be. There's just so many of it. It's so debatable.
Well, there's this kind of wobbly area in there where it was germinating. Like Joe Turner did a lot of stuff you could consider rock and roll.
Sure.
You know.
Sure. Oh yeah, big time.
And then it got to a point where the term rock and roll was applied to anything, and how you could ever apply. And people are amazed when I tell them this, but they applied the term rock and roll to Pat Boone.
Oh, God. Oh, that's horrible. Oh, isn't that a shame? Oh, tutti frutti, all Rudy, whoa, whoa, an Italian bam-a-loom-a, an Italian bam-boom.
Bam-ba-loom-bam-ba-dam-bam-boom. Yeah. Hey, listen. Once again, we have run out of time reminiscing about...
The minutes have flown by, just driven by.
With the lovely and attractive Stephen Pearl, who is playing in all kinds of places in Vegas. So if you're in Vegas, just, I don't know. Where are you going to be? Where are you going to be?
28 years old, I'm one gorgeous chick. Come see me.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Stephen Pearl. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Alex. It's always wonderful to talk to you. We'll talk to you soon again.
Still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And that's our good friend Stephen Pearl. I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoy having him on. And, what the hell? Good to have him here. Good to have you here. Let me turn up my mic just a little bit more so I get some real... there we go. Okay. Yeah, they got to adjust everything when I come in here after a couple of days without adjustment. So, Anyway, I did something over the weekend that I don't know. I just get goofy here. Let me just hold on a second. I just want to put my Skype up here. Okay, so it's ready to go. Okay. So I made this opening, and then tonight, when I started it, I started the audio not being on, and I fucked up, okay? Oh, that was somebody who was missed. Let's see here. Let's go. I'm trying to clean up everything here. Anyway, so the sound didn't go on at the very beginning, but I just wanted you to see it in case you missed it. This is a little... I did this, and I don't know why I did it, but it's kind of silly.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah. There we go. See, okay, that's how it works. You want to see it again? I mean, I did. It took me so long to get that just the way I wanted it.
5 years and still talking. This is GabNet, the Great American Broadcast Network. Talk like you've never heard it before.
And it looks just like Rob, too. That's the amazing part about it. Anyway, let me see here. Let me turn on the phone here. See if there's anybody out there tonight. Kathleen is not going to be with us tonight because she is... she has some family problems, so we will miss her, but I hope she gets back to us soon. Anyway, let me see here. So the lines are open. I am wonky. I have been taking this medicine for my neuropathy, and it's just been making it so that I have to really think twice before I do things. Like when I started tonight with that thing, and the sound wasn't up. That's a common event that happens. The thing is, I have everything there in one thing. The what we call the imager and then the theme and everything are all in one package. So once I start, I don't have to go back and forth between several things. So, well, anyway, here comes Phil. We can always depend on Phil. Let me see here. Let me see. Oh, yeah. I don't have to do anything with you. I just go like that, and there you are. See, you're in the square you were in last week.
Ah, okay. Circle gets the square.
The circle gets the square, and your picture is very good tonight. Very clean, very professional looking. What kind of camera are you using there?
Same as yours, that 920 or whatever it is.
Oh, I don't use a 920.
Logitech, I forget what it is. You have one.
Well, I have one. The one you're looking at me with is the one you say you have. The one I use on the air is a 4K camera.
Yeah.
That is a Brio.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
okay. Yeah. This one's a Logitech.
Yeah. I don't know, folks. Can you tell the difference with the Brio? Look, can you see me do that? Okay.
No.
Yeah, okay. Now, if you call the program, you get a different camera. You get this camera here. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, where are we? Oh, so anyways, I'm taking this drug, and it just makes it so that I'm not very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not coherent is not the term. You know, it's 57 out there, and it's hot in here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn on the air
So you're
conditioner.
taking a drug that is making you a little loopy, huh?
Yeah.
Well, maybe you got to get used to it. If you listen to the debates tonight, everyone on the stage is going to go after the drug companies for causing the country and all the drug epidemic. They're blaming it on the people who make it, not the people who take it.
The trouble is, I mean, if we saw if the Republicans were all running, this year, you would see the same kind of game being played. All right. You know what I'm saying? You know, I mean, forget it. It's just not.
They want to bust up everybody.
No, but I'm saying if you had the Republicans running, they'd be making all kinds they'd be writing checks they couldn't cash. Okay?
Of course.
You know, it's just the way things go.
We were talking about drugs, and I'm listening to the debaters, regardless of their political affiliation, and they want to blame the drug companies. They want to blame Johnson & Johnson. They want to blame Purdue.
Well, no, I'll tell you what. Phil,
I
I think you're not paying it. You didn't pay much attention to the story as it developed, but it seems as though Purdue and Johnson & Johnson knew the problems with these drugs, and they didn't do anything about it. They just went around to doctors with those hooker-looking like representatives pushing these drugs all over the place, even though they knew that they had. It was the same thing with the tobacco companies, who finally knew that cigarette smoking was bad for you, but they kept pushing the cigarettes. You know,
you don't blame the doctors; you blame the people who make the pills, not the people who dispense them.
You know, I'll tell you something. Here's what happens with doctors. You go into your doctor and you go, I heard about Lyrica and I think I need it for my neuropathy. And he goes, okay, here's a prescription.
Not at Kaiser. You know what they tell you?
What?
Hey, we don't use that one, but we do have aspirin. So,
really?
Oh yeah, 81 milligram. that they'll give you, nothing else.
Do you have neuropathy?
Yeah, a diabetic neuropathy.
Yeah. Well, this would help you.
And so, how did the chiropractic appointment go today?
It's tomorrow.
I thought it was Tuesday.
No,
okay,
tomorrow. Anyway, so I, you know, I mean, so I mean, the fact is that these drug companies kind of knew what these drugs could do. They were pushing them.
You all knew.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, you're just not. I think what they're yelling and screaming about is their.
Hi, Jeff.
Let me put Jeff in here. Let's see. We'll put him.
You know what the biggest problem is that if you bust up the drug companies, you can't afford to do the research to get any drugs approved anymore. The cost, the delay.
No. To begin with.
I don't know why my picture got so large.
Well, I don't know. Maybe you're putting weight on. I don't know.
Yeah.
What was the question you asked?
I said if you break up the drug companies,
they're not going to look. They're not going to stop making drugs because this is how they make a living. You know, the fact is that they talk about the cost of making a drug as being very expensive, and yet a lot of that price is borne by the government. Believe it or not, they give them money back for that. Am I right, Jeff? You know about the drug business.
Yeah, well, part of it is the cost and the time to develop the product and to prove that it's useful, because the government doesn't want anybody just because you can produce it, a drug, you got to prove that it's useful, and then it's not going to kill anybody.
And it costs a lot of money.
And it costs.
Yeah, but I'm not going to feel sorry for the drug companies, because when you look at the price of the drugs and what they get for them, it's way out of proportion with what it costs them to make it. Okay.
The American people are paying for that R&D. When you go to buy it in Canada or those other countries, they're not paying what we pay.
Well, but they are. To begin with, let me put it this way: if a company makes a drug and it does well, okay. I went and checked some of these drugs. When I see them on television, they go, "Oh, this will add 6 months to your life if you have cancer." Big deal. So
yeah.
I go online, I go cost of, and then the name of that product, and I see $20,000 a month. Come on, come on. What do they make that thing with? Cocaine? Come on, give me a break.
Yeah.
And I think they jack the prices up because they have to sell them at a lower price because the insurance companies say, well, here's what we think it's worth. Okay. Yeah. Otherwise, we just won't cover it.
Well, Yeah, I'm going to maybe get to use the hospitals and drugs again, get my money's worth from Kaiser. I just got a PSA back, and I have a detectable amount of cancer. So they want me to take another PSA just to see. It was under 1, but they said take another one just to make sure it wasn't a spurious result. And we'll see if I got cancer. Then
how are you producing How are you producing prostate-specific antigen if you don't have a prostate?
They might be some cells that got around when they pulled out the prostate. No. So I could have had. Some of these cancer cells, around. It's been zero for the last year and a half. But last week, a couple days ago, I got the test back, and it was less than 1. They said detectable. So I don't know. They'll figure out where it is. If I have it, I'll take another test to see if it's correct, and if it's not, then it's not. But if it is, maybe I'll be getting some of those chemo drugs or radiation.
Don't go dying on me, okay?
Yeah. It's very early, if it's there at all.
Yeah.
But shit, I can't win.
Well, those tests they're bullshit. so far, my PSA's been going up and up. But so far, I'm going back in about 3 weeks to see my urologist. Nobody can find anything, except they haven't done a biopsy. But they put the probes in there, and they've done the finger thing, and the doctor said, well, you can't get all the way around on the back. There may be a tumor back there, but...
Did they do the MRI thing? No, you won't do that, right?
No, I'll do the CT scan. That'll do it, too.
Like they stick some probe up your ass, and then they take some pictures. And
I had a probe up my ass.
Yeah.
And he looked around, and he couldn't. This was the other doctor, and he couldn't find anything.
That's not the one where they clip little pieces of your prostate.
Well, that's a biopsy.
Yeah.
But he wanted to do the biopsy on me, but he looked.
They like
in there.
that.
He looked in there, and he didn't. What they're looking for is a tumor, and I don't. I don't have any tumors there. It could well be that it's just I got an old cranky prostate.
Yeah.
So, but or I have low-level prostate cancer, which is no big deal for somebody my age.
Yeah.
Your age is your benefit.
In what respect?
Well, the fact that as you get older and older, even though you might have some cancer or whatever,
it's slower.
It's so slow that you don't have to consider.
Well, the PSA doesn't tell you how slow or fast it is. It just, detects
detects
whether it's there.
and if is some of it growing in there. But at my age, my doctor, my regular doctor, my internist, said to me, when he knew I was going through this, he said, "Don't even worry about it." He said, "At your age, if you have it, it's no big deal, you know. At your age, Phil, it's a bigger deal."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 65. You know, I'm getting up there, but
I know a guy in his 50s who died of it. You know, because the younger you are getting it, the more likely you
more
are.
aggressive it can be.
Yeah. They say
that picture I sent you?
Rarely at my age. You know.
Yeah. That picture I sent you was me 41 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't have any pictures of me because they're all at my ex-wife's house.
Let me see if I can do this. Hold on. Just.
And the woman is my mother.
The woman is your. Oh, I know how I can do this. I know how I can do this. Hold on a second. I'm going to go to screen, and then I'm going to go over to your picture. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. And they can all see this when I put it up. Yeah. Let me see here. There we go. There's Phil's thing. Where's your okay, where's your message? There's your message. See, you sent me a picture, and I don't usually trust people who send me pictures because I don't know. Okay,
who they're from.
Yeah, right. Okay, folks, everybody, seal your eyes. Here we go.
Yeah, when they see this, that was me 41 years ago.
Yeah.
We're going to have to wait a second to see it. I'm delayed on.
That was you 41 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my mother, and that's me. So that was probably like 1979, 78. When you moved to San Francisco, I looked like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or got their first job in San Francisco.
Yeah.
In this.
Oh, so what year was that?
Case. This was probably 78 or 9. And so you came in at an 80, and we got together back in January of 80. So that's what I looked like. And you're always saying, "Hey, I don't remember you." Do you remember him?
Yeah. Wow. That's very, very nice, Phil. Very good.
I didn't age well.
No. But then again, neither did I or anybody else. So, the only person around here who aged well is Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
No, Jeff has aged very well.
Yeah.
But
he's had his ups and downs.
That's because of I had extra work, but different kind of work, internal work.
Internal work. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He's the $6 million man. With inflation, it's 10.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Anyway, so that's see, I can still get a picture of folks.
Yeah.
What's that? Look at that. I got 2 of Jeff and everything. What? You see, I put up the wrong thing. There we go, folks. Okay. We need to
2 Jeffs are better than 1.
We need to fill that other square there if anybody's interested. Probably a lot of people aren't phoning me tonight because they probably decided not to listen, thinking I wasn't doing a show tonight.
You have a loyal listener base. We had an earthquake last night, and we had one about a half hour ago. It was a 4.5 or 4.7 last night.
What does that have to do with my listener base? You went from listener base to earthquakes.
Oh, well, I assured you that people were listening, and it was time to move on to a reasonable subject. The fear of no listeners is a false fear.
Yeah, but it's a very real fear for anybody who does a radio program.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And Jeff is too.
Yeah. So anyway,
is tonight the night that all the Democrats are gonna?
They already.
Yes, they did and are. Yeah.
Oh, they're still on.
Right.
Is it still on?
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well, they were when I left.
So I mean, what are they going on for 3 hours tonight?
I'm not sure, but they're giving people time. One of the major topics is candidates' age, and they're trying to get the younger candidates to say that the older ones are too old, and the older ones they're trying to get to say that they're too old, and I think it's all bullshit.
Actually, you have to admit, Bernie looked a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
after my first stent,
yeah,
the one that was 70% blocked,
yeah,
I felt so much better. I was telling somebody just tonight that I felt like I had arthritis throughout my entire body, and once I got that first stent, all of that pain, joint pain, went away.
Really?
Yeah.
Son of a
because
bitch.
you're just not getting enough blood flow to the joints.
But that's terrific. You know, I mean, he looked good. He looked in good shape. So I don't know. I think maybe that'll help him a little bit. But yeah, I don't think he's going to get the nomination.
You know, I recovered from stent surgery, and the first one was one stent, and the other one was two stents because that artery was 100%.
3 cents
blocked.
$1. All
3
four,
stents,
yeah.
right? Now he had 2 stents, and
I remember when I had 2 stents. In those days, you could buy a
couldn't
newspaper.
rub them together.
Yeah.
So anyway, he did look good for a week or so ago, having an angioplasty, because it really does beat you up a bit. I mean, I had mine on a Thursday. I was back to work on Monday, but I wasn't 100%. I can tell you.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. But nevertheless, he looks good. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the whole lineup, and I think right now she's in the lead. I think Elizabeth Warren's in the lead.
Well, that's easy to do amongst that crowd, but I mean, you could be a dog catcher and be in the lead.
What
with
do you
those
think?
guys.
What do you think, Jeff, about Elizabeth Warren? Do you think she's got you think she could do it?
I like her a lot.
Yeah, we all like her a lot.
And I think she'd be terrific.
Wait a minute, Phil doesn't like her a lot.
Question is, will other people vote for her?
Yeah.
Maybe on the coast. The thing about Elizabeth Warren, what I hear from her is, we got to go after the billionaires. We got to tax this. We got to put regulations on that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that stuff really goes over with most of the voters, especially in the Midwest.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they call the flyover states.
Well, yeah, she happens to be, if I'm not mistaken, she is kind of in the Midwest. So I think she understands that. Hello, Tony.
Hey.
Hi, I was just listening to his cancer talk. When you get a chance, I got to tell you something about that.
I told Tony, he says, you got to go to Sloan Kettering.
I was going to say, Alex, should he get a second opinion or get the treatment he has? When I took my mother 3 months.
Treatment yet? I need a PSA test. I need a PSA test.
Really?
Yeah, that's.
But you want to let some Alex stop Sloan now? Listen to this, Alex. And I don't mean to get you off the topic. My mother's we got to put her into another insurance plan that they accept, because every 6 months it seems like they don't take this plan. Now I got to look for the other plan. I was on the phone today with the lady for an hour to make sure they take the new plan my brother's getting. But this is why they should just take. Well, Alex, here's my question: why can't these hospitals? I know they're private, Sloan. Just take all the insurance.
Because some don't pay.
Well, yeah, or they have some kind of hard-on for that particular insurance company or whatever. I've never had that problem. I have had it where dental insurance is concerned, but not.
Oh, I went to the dentist. You got to laugh at this one. That happened to me. Now they're not sure if they take it yet.
The what?
I got with the new insurance. I didn't get my dental card yet, so I went to have a cleaning.
Yeah.
So she went at me like I was getting. I hate getting a cleaning, Alex. My gums will bleed.
Oh, I had a deep scaling thing.
You got to floss.
And you know what I thought? I brushed.
You got to have teeth before you floss.
That's
She's
true.
got teeth. They just aren't where they're supposed to be.
Wrong place. You know what she told me? She's trying to sell me on a bridge on the top. The only bridge I'm going over is the fucking Brooklyn Bridge, because you know what? She goes, well, I may do it, Alex, because it's $3,300. But I said, listen, I'm not going to do anything yet, cosmetic, because I want to see if I get dental insurance. Maybe I'll get some coverage out of this.
Oh, really?
Yes, so I got to right now.
No, they may give you coverage because of how your teeth are. You know,
pity coverage.
No, it's not pity. It's like you could get diseases like heart problems.
Well, no, it's okay. I don't have bad gums or anything like that. It's just that they're just a little crooked.
Yeah, but I think it makes it.
But you are right about
it can
that.
affect the gums.
Well, you know what the guy did say?
Your
My
gums are bleeding.
Well, because she was brushing hard, it wasn't that bad. But she says my gums are fine and all. But she said, the dentist said, and she said that if you don't go for cleanings, people don't, because they don't want to pay for the dentist, or if they don't have insurance, it's sad. It does lead to heart disease because it must clog the arteries.
I get 3 cleanings a year.
Really?
Now that I have dental insurance, it's supposed to pay 90%. So a cleaning is $175.
She charged me $125 this week.
I went with my new dental insurance card, not the one from Kaiser, and I said, "Here, I got dental insurance."
Oh, that must have been nice.
I get a letter. They're going to pay $0.
There you go.
I said, "What is this?"
Oh,
so I finally
wait a minute. For a cleaning?
Yeah,
because they pay everything for a cleaning.
They're supposed to. So it seems as though
Charlie.
I have a $50 yearly deductible. So they would have paid $125. So I said, "Why didn't you pay the $125?" And they said, "We have to have the dentist call us and tell us that you've had cleanings before, and then we'll pay it."
That's easy.
So I have to call up the dentist and say, "You need to call the insurance company." And once you call them and tell them, and you only have to do it verbally, that I've had cleanings before, periodontal cleaning. I guess I get deep cleanings.
Yeah.
And so they want to know that. And if that's the case, they'll pay it.
Well, I'm going in for my cleaning on Thursday, and also a filling, also a small filling that she wants to finish off. And then
that's what I have to literally be one in the back.
They added it all up, and the insurance is going to pay for all of it. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then they overcharged me for some copays for several things, so I think I will wind up spending nothing on a copay. But anyway, the point is that they're going to my doctor worked it out so that we're leaving as much money at the end of the year, as little money as possible in my account.
Use it all up.
Do you know how much money I'm going to have left to spend?
$100.
She got it working out beautifully. $1.
Good.
She got it down to $1.
I take a toothbrush on the way
They could
out.
give you the toothbrush and the toothpaste after the cleaning. Charge you $1, so you make sure you get out of there with nothing.
I'm telling her she can't charge more than a certain amount. But the fact is that after this, there will be $1 left. How about that, huh?
Yeah.
And then I wait a couple of months, and then January 1st, I can go in on the 2nd. They can put in the implant, because I don't like having a tooth missing here. It's like driving me crazy. It makes me feel like I should vote for Trump. You know.
It's only the front ones you got to remove. You know, if you black out the front ones, then you can vote for Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got getting a little worried. The walls are closing in very slowly.
Yeah, but well, we hope you don't have cancer, Phil.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting
God,
worried.
I have more people getting sick or dying on me lately. You know, I just found out today that the parent of somebody I know is going into a hospice. Okay. So I mean, you know, it's just one person after another. It's the thing that happened with Will last week. I haven't heard anything new on Will, except that she has written me and told me that he's reading the newspaper and things like that, but his left side is paralyzed. And
you asked me, why the GoFundMe recommendation?
Well, yeah, I don't want to get into any of that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But the point is that it was Jeff knows. Were you paralyzed at all, Jeff?
Not really.
Yeah, he's paralyzed, which means he's going to have to go through a lot of physical therapy to get that taken care of. Because strokes, you don't know what's going to go out on you.
Am I right?
What's the difference between a stroke and that Bell's palsy?
Bell's palsy is a whole different thing.
Oh, it's not
Bell's
similar.
palsy is
Temporary.
It's very temporary. Yeah. But no, a stroke is a stroke. It's a explain it, Jeff.
First blood vessel in the brain.
Yeah. Okay.
You got it.
Yeah. And depending upon the severity of it, depends upon what happens. You know, you can do anything from just kind of lose the feeling in a finger or something like that, all the way to forgetting you ever had a prom. You know, so I mean, it's.
Well, you can't even say anything other than, huh?
Yeah.
Well,
Did you have speech problems?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I still.
Well, you still do, but you
came
handle
back
it.
good, though.
It came back good. You know.
I mean, really, I spent a year learning
Rehabbing.
to walk again.
Really? Wow. Oh boy. You know.
Yeah, and my reading.
Yeah.
I basically can't read.
Really?
Yeah, the way I
you can't
handle.
focus on the book, Jeff, or no?
I didn't have a stroke and I can't spell.
Yeah, it doesn't matter about doing, but like any words and stuff like that, if I audio listen to it, I can pretty much understand it. But if I try to read it,
Yeah. Oh, is it blurry like?
no, it's just you.
You can't focus on like reading
The
it.
letters don't.
He can't. He can't.
generate
what
the
happened-
word.
He can't
Is it
interpret. He can't interpret the letters, right?
Is it like
yeah,
what
it looks
happened
like
to
gibberish.
the dyslexic person? That the letters look jumbled. I think.
Probably what it is
What?
is what happens
Just
to a
doesn't
person
mean
when
anything.
a
What's that?
person when they never learn to read and they look at a printed page and none of it means anything to them. Is that a good way of describing it, Jeff?
Yeah, that's very
Like a
good.
Trump voter.
Yeah. Have you ever done those things where they
point,
send
this is
you?
who you vote for. I'm joking. I don't mean nothing.
They,
bad.
I've seen these things. You can read a paragraph where the words are all jumbled around, but you can look at it and read it, and even though they're all misspelled and misarranged, you can just look at it and read it. I mean, if you haven't had a stroke and that affects you, but because the brain is able to recognize those letters,
Yeah, but the
and
brain is
create the words.
Phil, the brain is a very strange thing, and when you have a
Yeah.
stroke, what it does to the
Yeah.
brain is it just
Turns
does
off those
it turns
receptors.
certain things off and whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that can you? I mean, have you taught yourself to read again, Jeff, or you still have problems with that?
Not effectively.
In other words, the newspaper is out.
No, I mean, if I pick up something and it's got like 3 words,
Yeah.
Wow.
I can work myself through it.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you're better off with audiobooks or
Yes.
yeah.
So I read all kinds of things on my Apple, and because I can read it, you could take almost any kind of word and have it read to me.
Ah, okay. So it's like
And it's part of the app.
for the blind, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same
Same thing.
approach.
Yeah, so I guess audiobooks is something that you do, right?
I tried to get my mom on that.
Okay,
But you know what I do? I read to her during the day sometimes. She likes
Actually,
it.
I want to hear the Ronan Farrow audiobook. Just to hear people say words like penis and things like that.
I can't read that for my mother. She wants to kill Matt Lauer now.
Really? I want to kill Ronan Farrow.
What's going on? Is he guilty or not? Because I don't know. Is it consensual?
Ronan Farrow is guilty.
What did Ronan Farrell do?
Yeah, he wrote a book.
Ronan Farrow. What did somebody call him? They had a great name for it. But he's trying to make a buck, okay? And so therefore he is taking information he gets and jumbling it up so
From
that
an
it's,
inner circle of
it
people.
it seems to make sense if you believe his sequence of
Conspiracy.
events.
the woman that he was saying that, was so horrible, it was terrible for her and so on. After that incident, she stayed at NBC for 3 years. And they say they paid her to, they paid her a settlement. It wasn't a settlement. She left 3 years later, quit, got her severance of 22 weeks at her base pay.
They get 22 weeks.
Yeah, and he signed a non-disclosure agreement like everybody does who leaves NBC. I signed a non-disclosure agreement when I left.
Sirius.
Was Sirius, and I'll say everything I want to about Sirius because they've already paid me my severance, and fuck them. But
how many weeks severance did they give you? 16?
16, yeah.
Well, that's not bad, considering that's Sirius and they're NBC.
Considering I was there 10 years, I think maybe I could have gotten more.
No, but compare it to the NBC deal. NBC's got bigger pockets.
She worked for them for 4 years, 3 or 4 years. I worked for
she
Sirius
gave it up to Matt Lauer.
For double
Did you screw Matt Lauer?
Listen, for good severance, I certainly would have. But I just think that Ronan Farrow is. I just don't trust his reporting. Okay, the Weinstein story was a pretty easy story to reveal to the American public. All you had to do was find somebody to publish it because that story was. I knew about it. Okay. Oh, really? Before Ronan Farrow. Come on, everybody knew what Harvey Weinstein was doing. So it wasn't that big a story that he revealed. So now he writes a book, and what he wants to do in the book, and what he's trying to do, basically, is to get even with NBC. Because NBC wouldn't run his story because he didn't have enough of it vetted properly. He didn't have the sources vetted properly. And they said, we can't do this, run a story about Harvey Weinstein that we can't then turn around and prove. So go out, get more of your information, get more of your sources, and if you get a better story, come on back and we'll run it. He was working for NBC at the time. So instead, he went and had a hissy fit and he left. And he went over to New York, a New Yorker, and he then did more work. He got more names and people that he could quote and so on and so forth. And the New Yorker at that point said, "Yeah, we can publish this now." The lawyers vetted it and said we can publish it. He's always had a hard-on for NBC for that, okay? And he just he's been wanting to get even with NBC, and that's what this book is getting even with NBC. He's a little shit. Who won't admit he's Frank Sinatra's son. I was looking at him today. Okay,
get the DNA test.
You don't have to have a DNA test. Look at a picture of Ronan Farrow and look at his lips, and then look at Frank Sinatra's lips, and tell me that isn't Frank. That's not Woody Allen's son. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, you think it's Woody's son?
You don't see the similarity?
That is supposed to be Woody's son.
Yeah,
that is Woody's son.
He's strange looking.
Who?
Ronan Farrow.
Ronan Farrow. He looks odd.
Yeah, but he looks like Frank Sinatra. And the rumor is that Mia Farrow, kept fucking Frank Sinatra long after their divorce. And
he must get the blonde hair from her then.
Huh?
Right? Because he's got blonde hair, it looks like.
Well, whatever. Anyway, that's not Woody Allen's son. I don't care what you say.
Well, maybe he's adopted.
He doesn't look like Woody Allen, Alex.
Huh?
He don't look like Woody Allen at all.
No, but does he look like Frank Sinatra?
You might be right. Maybe around his lips.
What do you mean? I might be right.
I'm looking at his eyes too.
I have no doubt about it. Somebody should write an expose on Ronan Farrow. Like
his real name is Satchel.
Satchel. That's what they named him. Yeah.
He looks like Trump.
Who?
Could he sing?
Ronan Farrow. I'm looking at a picture of
he doesn't look
Ronan Farrow. It's very small, and then I'm looking at a picture of Trump next to him. The hair.
Yeah.
Hold it up there, Phil. Again.
Okay. Do you think that maybe
no.
Mia was banging Donald?
There's no way that Ronan Farrow. It looks
No, it didn't look like Trump at all.
It looks like Trump. I mean, come
he
on.
went to Yale University, this guy?
Yeah. So,
Shit.
Yeah.
What? Oh, yeah, and they're saying Woody Allen is his father.
Well, that's what they say. Hey, if you want another subject to talk about, all of the candidates were calling for the breakup of big tech, like Twitter, Facebook, and they're calling all of them almost to a individual, each one of them.
Well, here's the thing: why should they? Why should they break up those firms? I mean, they're huge, but they got huge by
people use them.
By people using them. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and how are you going to break it up? How are you going to break Facebook up?
What are they going to do?
When they were going to break up Microsoft years ago, there were things they could break it off into. There was the software, there was the hardware, there was this, there was that. In the case of these companies, I mean, there are very little ways you can chop those companies up.
Well, I think that they're talking like Facebook has WhatsApp or something, and that photo program that people Instagram, which I've never used, but so they're saying that they can break those things up, and that would somehow give more control over these companies.
Well, I don't. I think that's kind of a wrong assumption. Okay.
Well, that's what these candidates are saying.
It's a very simple argument. I think we got better things to do. I don't think that. Do you feel, Charlie, that these companies pose a threat to us?
I'm a little leery of them, yes.
Well, we're leery of them because we don't feel they did due diligence where, for instance, the Russia probe was concerned. You know? But on the other hand, I'm going to give them a pass this far. And I use it to describe when Microsoft got charged with antitrust. Okay? I think companies grow, and they grow, and they grow, but they don't feel that they still, it's kind of like, how can I describe it? When you look in the mirror, you still see you as a kid. You see you as a lot younger, and I think that's the way these companies were. They see themselves as a whole different company, and not a big company that can tromp over everybody and everything. But all of a sudden, one day, you have become that big, and you have to realize that you have to live by a new set of rules. And I think that's what happened to all these companies. I don't think Google felt that they had grown that big. I don't think that Facebook has felt it grew that big. That it needed to watch out for antitrust and things like that. But they do, and they should be watched, and they should be thumped whenever they do something wrong, and they should be fined. But I don't know if breaking them up is the answer. And I don't think it's a good position for the Democrats to take anyway, because a lot of people out there love these companies, and use them every day. So if somebody's on the edge and doesn't know whether they're going to vote Democratic or not, and then they're having to think about whether they're going to vote for them, and they go, well, they want to take Facebook away. Well, I like Facebook. Fuck them. I'll vote for the Republican.
Do you really believe that anybody is on the edge in this in 2019? That every individual has already made a decision as to how they're going to vote? You don't see it as a big division? I don't think there's a middle ground.
I think there's a very big one. If there wasn't, your boy wouldn't have a chance. Because
he's going to have to do it on the base.
But his base is only 36%, Phil.
Yeah, well, that's because They're the
and
few
then,
that do vote.
And the base on the Democrats may be a little higher than that. I don't know what the base is for the Democrats, but there is that chunk in the middle that are going to make the difference.
Only Charlie votes as a Democrat. All the other Democrats make a lot of noise, but when it comes time to pulling the lever, they're still home. You know?
But still what?
They're still home. They don't go out. They don't. Young people, they make a big stink in the street, but when it comes time to actually do their civic duty, they don't get in their cars and go to the voting thing. They stay home.
Because I think they think that voting is at least a useless thing to do. You know, that it does nothing. That no matter who you vote for, your guy isn't going to win.
But that's why my guy won. He wouldn't have won if
he
there
didn't.
was a bigger
He didn't,
turnout.
Phil. From a popular vote standpoint, he didn't win. Okay,
Hey.
But he did play a ground game.
Right.
And
the correct one.
They played a good ground game, which they won't be able to get away with this time because the Democrats are aware of it, and they're gonna
work harder.
Work harder against that happening. Okay. I think, quite frankly, when he won, I think nobody was more surprised than Trump.
Yeah, no, I'm sure he hadn't written a winning speech. He probably wrote a concession speech.
He was probably wanting to concede and get on with other stuff, starting the Trump News Network.
Right, with Ailes.
Yeah.
Ailes died on him.
Yeah. Oh, God, these drugs are making me wonky.
I'm gonna hope that when you do see the chiropractor that you get some relief so that you don't have to do those drugs.
I don't think I will bet you any money you got I'm not going to get relief from this doctor. If I do, God bless him. I'm there every week plunking down a couple of $100. Okay.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't work, I don't think it is. Be honest with you.
Well, you'll see.
Yeah, I'll see.
It's worked for many, many people.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. You too?
Yeah.
Well, I want to see some result. I don't expect great results on the first visit, but I'd like to see something.
You'd be surprised.
You will.
If you get the pressure off, I guess it's a sciatic nerve, but if you get the pressure off of that, you can.
It isn't the sciatic
You may have
nerve.
a big difference.
I have my spine is compressing.
It's called subluxation of the spine,
Well, that's not the term.
where you
That's
get
not the term.
it closes down on the.
That was not the term. That was not the term the doctor used.
Well, it's, when your spine is compressing, that's called subluxation.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
All
I'll
right.
go get the. Boy.
And
I got the X-ray here.
Yeah.
Which is on a disc that was taken about a year ago, so I'm sure it's worse by now. Let me see.
What are the little sacs called that are filled with synovial fluid that are in between the vertebrae? I forgot. Discs. So what happens is as the spine compresses, the discs degenerate, and they get smaller and smaller, and then you get arthritis and calcium buildup.
He says that my physical therapist didn't. He treated my feet, but he did not address the lumbar spine. The patient said he's not having much back pain or sciatic pain, but sleeping on harder bed has been having more numbness of the feet. X-ray of the lumbar spine showed a narrowing of the disc space at L4 and L5.
Yeah. So. Well, a narrowing of the disc space is, it could be a buildup of calcium or a degeneration of the disc.
But that could cause the numbness.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It could also be that the the vertebrae just needs to be moved a little bit so that it gets off of it's either hitting a nerve.
Well, Charlie, you said it sounded to you like that's what's causing the numbness, right?
Yeah,
and
because
it's
if that space gets too small, it'll press on the nerve.
When the space gets too small, Joe Montana had that.
Boy, listen to Dr. Phil.
Well, I know about this. Joe Montana had that, and I think it's L4 and L5, and they did this kind of rotor-rooter in those things. But there's a lot more space there. You can't really do it in the upper part of your neck. It's very dangerous because in the C1 and 2, things are very narrow. But
I'll just see y'all later, folks, while Dr. Phil tells you what's...
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm hoping that your chiropractic experience is a good one.
He thinks the numbness, the doctor, is because of that spinal thing. He called it something else too. There was another term he used, radiopathy or something. Strength in the hip, pinprick sensation. Geez, I don't know what. Why is that doing that? Hold on a second. No, numbing the lights. Let's see here. Cramping certain of his leg. Impression. The patient had improvement in the lumbrosacral radiculopathy.
Wow.
And sensory neuropathy.
Was
He will continue with the gabapentin. What?
Well, you said you had an improvement in the radio.
Yeah,
what station?
Like
You know.
But anyway, that was his, his whole thing. I'm sure it has to do with something in my spine.
Yeah.
We'll see. What the hell?
Did it get worse after you fell down?
It's probably the prostate cancer.
Yeah. Really. Did your neuropathy or issues that you're having get worse after you fell?
After I fell, no.
Okay. I'm just thinking that maybe you knocked something.
No. This has been going on for. The numbing started about 5 years ago. It just didn't start. It didn't get to the point where I wanted to see a neurologist. But my personal doctor, my GP, looked at it, and I told him what I had, and he pointed to my spine. He said, "It's right there. That's what's causing it. There's something there." Yeah. So I mean, that's probably it. And it's just gotten worse since this picture was taken because. I lie down, I sleep, it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse.
Well, maybe they'll take another X-ray and be able to see what the changes are.
Yeah, probably. But anyway, I don't want to. I'm sick and tired of that, Sick and tired of everybody around me dying. That's the part that really is getting to me.
How is your friend that just got married? What's his name? The director.
The director. Well, he just keeps going on.
I know you hadn't mentioned him in a while. I was just.
Yeah. No, he keeps going on. He's just, it's simple, really, to tell you the damn truth. I mean, he's old. We know that there's a
finite number of years.
Finite number of years, yeah, and that that he, he's going to be he's not okay. I mean, he's aging, and it's getting slow, and it's it just isn't. He's not as spry as when I first met him 2 years ago. All right.
Yeah.
And what can I say? What can I say? I can't even remember his name right now because of these pills.
I couldn't either.
No, because of these fucking pills, and and he's so close to me that I know his name. Jack Garfine. Jack Garfine. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to call him the director.
No, well, what I had to do was I had to remember the woman's name, which is Natalia, which was easy for me. And then I went, oh, Jack and Natalia, Jack Garfine. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, Jack, when I first met him, it was 2 years ago. He was taking walks at night out at Fire Island, and, you know, he was pretty spry for a guy his age, okay? And then, you know, one thing led to another, and he's lost a lot. He isn't a walker now, you know.
Yeah.
You know, she's using a wheelchair to get him around. You know, so it gets worse and worse. But he's not like other people I know who are. You know, it's not like Ronnie, who I know has cancer and she's going to die.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. You know, that's another one I've been living with here. You know.
Yeah.
So. The terrible thing about getting to be my age is so many people are dying around you.
Yeah.
You know, luckily they're dying around you. You're not dying around them. You know.
I have a theory that you're here in order to continue to celebrate their life and the memory that you have of them is what continues to exist. And if you weren't here and they will pass, it's guaranteed. Everybody will pass.
Yeah.
But it's not a burden. It's a gift that you're able to preserve their memory.
Well, there was somebody who died the other day that I didn't give a shit about, you know, that I knew.
There's some people, like, I wouldn't even shed a tear over. I don't mean it in a bad way,
I mean, there are certain people that I will miss greatly. You know, and there are other people that I don't give a shit about.
And I don't mean it in a bad way or anything like that. I don't wish nothing bad and ill will on anybody.
In fact, when you hear about somebody died and then the word after that is good, you know.
Well, why couldn't it take?
That's the whole thing. That's the thing. That's the thing with living a good life, to where you do good for other people and you're remembered in a good way, rather than, that guy's a piece of shit, I'm glad he's gone, I want his parking space. You know, it's...
Well, I will be remembered that way.
No, you won't.
You want to laugh?
Yeah, no, I will
You can laugh at this, Alex.
What?
Remember, you never got your mom... I don't mean it like this. We got my dad a tombstone. My mom picked it out, right? Mm-hmm. So this is really morbid, but I
give it to Alex. He needs one.
No, you're going to laugh at this, Alex, because I was actually laughing. My mom said, let's go see Daddy at the cemetery. So my brother took us. So we didn't get the tombstone yet. It's going to be there in December, right? So my mother goes, oh, there's room for 4 in the plot. So I'm sitting there and saying, Ma, so I know what my tombstone's going to look like already. Because, yeah, you can come with us, Daddy and Poppy. I says, oh, yeah, all right. And I'm saying to him, I'm laughing. She says, what are you laughing at? Because I'm looking at my tombstone. There's nothing missing is my name soon. I said, come on.
Yeah.
We didn't get, and you know, my father.
Well, my parents
spent a lot of money on the stone.
My parents.
So she was looking at
the box.
Well, the black one was like $3,800. So the lady says, "Would you like the traditional one that's all gray?" My mom says, "How much is that?"
How much is Charlie?
We'll take the gray.
If the black one was $3,800, Charlie's kind of brown. Maybe it's cheaper.
Yeah. But it was weird because
my body to science. It won't cost anything.
My tombstone. I said, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is that my mother, I haven't put a tombstone down for her yet, and I should. I should.
You should.
I've thought about actually pulling up my father's tombstone and putting one down.
Moving it.
No, putting one down for both of them. You know.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I've thought about. I just haven't done a fucking thing about it. I don't even know where the graves are. I'm gonna have to go look.
Part of the cemetery where my father's buried, they only allow a plaque, and the plaque is bronze, and it's on the ground.
That's nice. That's nice.
Oh, those are like the little ones. Yeah.
Well, so I just never got the tombstone. I really should do it. I think maybe my business manager remembers where she was buried. Eternal Light or something cemetery out in Colma.
Yeah. Everybody's out here is buried in Colma.
Colma has the largest population of any city in California of dead people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all cemeteries.
Yeah.
But it's quiet at night, and people are dying to get in.
Yeah. But anyway, my parents bought 2 plots.
Oh, they did.
Nothing for me.
Oh, you didn't get it. See, I already know where I'm going already. I don't have to worry about it.
You get a government plot.
No, you know where I'm going? I'm going into an urn. That's where girlfriend's going to put me.
She's going to burn you?
Wait a minute. Veterans get a burial. You could be buried in a veterans cemetery.
Yeah. Alex, I don't know if they were bullshitting us. When we were picking out the tombstone, the lady told us in the shop that they're getting hit hard for business. People are not picking out tombstones no more. They're getting cremations. They're getting hurt.
Yeah.
Really?
And they scatter that shit.
I think people see that. They don't want to, just because they died, they don't want an extra financial burden placed upon their people, And I think that's good thinking,
When my father died, I was 17. And my father's best friend said to me, don't spend a lot of money on the casket. And I said, I got to get the best casket.
Oh, you did one of those things.
Oh, yeah. And you know what? Here it is. He died in 72. All these years later, almost 50 years, it wouldn't have made a damn bit of difference if I got the pine box or the other casket, Except I had to spend $6-7 grand in 1972.
Wow, that had to be a lot back then.
Oh yeah, I could have spent $700.
Well, you don't want to go that cheap. Come on.
Wouldn't have mattered.
Certainly didn't matter to him.
No.
Wouldn't have mattered. I was watching. I don't know if anybody watches Shark Tank.
Yeah, occasionally.
But
I dive with them.
This last week. This last week. Yeah. They had somebody who came along who had a business in which they would take your loved ones' remains, their ashes, and they would make them into a diamond.
Really? Oh, God.
By putting it through a process of crushing it and doing all that, because diamonds come from carbon and whatever, and you can't make if you have carbon, if you have the remains. They can make a what do you call it?
A CZ or whatever.
A diamond out of it.
It's kind of eerie.
Alex, I've heard about these places that, cremate you and supposedly take the ashes and scatter them amongst the here and there. I heard about this storage facility where there were hundreds of things of urns that were supposed to be scattered, and they didn't get scattered. They were in a rental storage facility for 20 years, and there was hundreds and hundreds of them. So they took the money to scatter them, kind of like a Neptune Society thing, but no scattering, just a storage facility. And then they didn't pay the rent on the storage facility, so it got auctioned off. That would be a kind of thing like Damien would, open up the lock and say, what do you bid on this? Ooh, it's a bunch of ashes.
Yeah. Yes, Jeff.
I know 2 people died last week.
Wow.
I guess that's what happens when you get older. Okay, people that's around you start dying.
I think I know what the scam is on this diamond, dead people into diamonds.
Yeah.
They get a CZ, they burn you, and they hide the ashes in the storage unit, and then they just give you a artificial diamond and say, this is your loved one.
Nobody would know. Nobody would know.
How would you know?
That is true. How can you prove it?
And, maybe the guy's real fat and he should have been a 2-carat CZ instead of a 1, but,
Right. So I mean, but I thought that was kind. And I looked at a girlfriend and I went, man, that's sick.
Yeah, that's a little twisted. Yeah,
but
I wouldn't feel right having my mother around.
There were these women in Miami Beach.
Here's mom on my finger.
Right,
I'm better off stuffing her.
Mom is a tie stud.
Yeah, she would haunt me if I did that. She would literally haunt me for the rest of my life.
I was thinking about this old joke.
She's going to haunt you anyway.
I know, but I really did her every night. She wouldn't let me sleep.
This woman, she's sitting by the pool. Another woman says, "That's some diamond you're wearing." She says, well, it's got a curse. She says, "What's the curse?" "The Plotnik curse." She says, "What's the Plotnik curse?" "Mr. Plotnik." But Mr. Plotnik would be the diamond on her finger.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
I heard that story.
I'm tired tonight. This coffee is not working. I went out and I bought a new brand of coffee. I'm not drinking it now. I drink it in the morning. It's called Napalm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Good.
Yeah. And they say there's nothing better than the smell of napalm in the morning.
There's one that I see advertised called Black Rifle Coffee. And it's supposedly made by cops for cops, and I was thinking about buying some of that.
Well, you turned me onto that Black Death or whatever it was called.
Oh, yeah, I forgot the name of that.
It was something Death. Yeah.
Yeah, something. Yeah. It wasn't bad. It wasn't as strong as I had hoped.
I'm looking for coffee like there's this Starbucks. Coffee I use called Starbucks Plus, which is double the caffeine. I'm sorry, I don't feel it.
Do you remember Cuban coffee? They used to use it comes in a can and it's called Cafe Bustamento or something.
I have Bustelo.
Bustelo,
I have K-cups for that.
Oh, well, that stuff was strong. At least I remembered it being strong. I haven't had it in a long time. Can you put that stuff in? You can get it in the can, and you don't use the K cup. You use the thing, right? You put it in.
I could go get a pack of it and stuff like that. Yeah. They sell it right down the street.
Is that stronger than these other ones, or?
I don't know. I mean, I had some of it. It was okay. I just want something that's just going to say to me, "Well, it's 25 minutes before midnight, and I'm not tired."
Well, if you might be using the wrong kind of machine. Instead of using a Keurig, have you ever thought about using a French press?
No, I don't want to go through all that. I'm too lazy to go through all that.
If you want strong coffee, that's what you got to do.
No, if I want strong coffee, they can give me strong coffee in a fucking K-cup, Phil.
Nah, that K-cups, they dilute it somehow. It's not as strong as a French press or one of those little espresso things that you put the water in, you put the coffee in, you put it on top of the stove.
Did you ever have Cuban coffee?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I went to school
in Miami.
I used to get it in Miami. Yeah. On the way to work, I found this little place.
That much
coffee, and I would down the thing. And then I would down another one, and I was ready to fucking go, man.
Yes, yes. And I believe they use that. Is it Cafe Bustelo? Is that how they pronounce that?
Well, that's not Cuban coffee. Cuban coffee is made in a certain way. Where the reason there's only that much is because they've compressed all the caffeine into that much.
Like Turkish coffee.
Forget Turkish coffee. We're talking about Cuban coffee.
No, but they make it the same way. They compress it. They have a samovar. Is the thing that they use? Yeah. It's called a samovar.
Yeah.
And are you familiar with those? And then they kind of boil it until it becomes a paste, and then you drink it.
Oh boy. Anyway, so. I just got a letter from Rob Alfano. We haven't heard from him in a while.
Oh, how's he
doing? I wrote him to see how he's doing. He says he's working hard and he's making good money. And, I'm going to read the letter after I get off the air. Email. It's not a letter. Letters are what, somebody, raise your hand.
I don't know.
If any of you within the last year have actually gotten a handwritten note in the mail.
Only a bill.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that, folks.
I've gotten one or two.
Really? You've gotten notes?
I send thank you cards.
I can't even fucking write anymore.
Well, I couldn't write before, but I send thank you cards to customers.
Oh, really?
So I believe that you got to thank people.
But you could send them a thank you email, and they'd be just as happy.
Not the same thing.
No, that's a much better thing.
Do you send Christmas cards to people, like for work?
Good plan.
No Christmas. Just thank you.
Yeah. So anyway, so where are we? Let's see here. Let's see. Syria is fucked. I mean, the Kurds are fucked.
There's more to that than meets the eye. I understand, the American soldiers would have been in harm's way because Trump knew that Erdogan was going to attack. And, he's got a responsibility to move the soldiers out of harm's way. They were going to attack anyway, whether those soldiers were there or not.
Yeah, so that's what you've heard.
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that?
I'm sure I listened to Fox.
Okay.
But,
bing, bing,
it was some
bing,
general.
Bing,
It
bing,
was,
bing,
it, it was some general pundit that was, talking about the thing. And
what he did by getting out of there was it made Erdogan say, look, I don't have the possibility of killing any Americans if I do this, and now I can go ahead and do this.
Well, I think they were going to attack anyway.
Well, but you don't know they were going to attack anyway.
How can he do it so quickly?
Then what? How can he do it so quickly? Because Trump said, I'm getting my guys out of here, and we started getting our guys out of there, and he jumped in. Yeah, he wanted to establish territory. He was probably always has been ready.
And I guess Turkey wanted this zone. I don't know how many miles it was, 20 miles or something.
Yeah.
That it was like a buffer between Syria and Turkey.
Right. Right. So he was always ready to go with something like that. But the amount of people that are just being slaughtered as a result of what Trump did is pathetic. We could have done it in a way that didn't get those people in harm's way. After all, the Kurds were our allies, okay?
But now they've aligned with the Russians and the Iranians.
They haven't aligned with the Syrians. They haven't aligned with anybody.
Yeah,
the Russians are going in there, but they haven't aligned with them, Phil.
I heard today that they have an agreement that they're going to fight along with the Syrians, the Russians, and the Iranians.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
Well, all I know is I want to know what Trump does for a living. Is what I want to know. This is a guy who does nothing but watch television all day. Really.
Sounds like you.
Yeah, but I'm not fucking president of the United States.
But you're getting prepared.
He does nothing. He does nothing. We do not have a president right now. We have somebody who's sitting there playing like he's the president and occasionally doing a few things he can do by waving his hand and being president. But basically, he's not doing anything presidential.
Do you want the U.S. to continue to be in these 20-year wars?
No.
Well, he doesn't either, and he pulled them out.
Yeah, but the thing is...
This is not our battle.
It is our battle because we made it our battle by what we've done all these years, okay? So if we're going to get out of there, we're going to have to get out of there with the least impact upon the people of that country and where they will still have safety.
They've been at war for centuries. Do you think anything is going to change? I supported the Iraq War when it first took place. Now, here it is 20 some odd years later, and I realize that it was wrong. And the Afghani war, what are we doing there? We're not doing anything. Now, are we going to be in another war in Syria? It's time. He wants out, and you know what? Maybe he's right. I like wars. I think it's good for the economy, but on the other hand, it's not good for the people.
Phil,
and it's not good for America.
Phil,
you guys yell, how come we're not doing anything about infrastructure? Because we're over there.
Phil, what's Trump's involvement in Turkey?
Well, his hotel is not going to get used very well.
He's got a hotel there. So he's got to keep the Turks happy, doesn't he?
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Do you think if he puts crushing sanctions, he called it, on Turkey and
I'll
believe it.
I'll believe it when I see it. He told us they were gonna have crushing sanctions against the Chinese, and the Chinese are going, did you feel that? No, not really.
Yes, they did. If you listen to the news, they're
if
down
you listen
17%.
to Fox News.
Well, that's where you're going to get the truth.
Phil, China has the rest of the world to do business with.
They're down 17%.
It's a global economy. They were having trouble before the sanctions.
You know
Phil.
that there's a pig.
In fact, I think they were down lower before the sanctions, to be honest with you.
There's a swine flu epidemic in China, and they're going to have to buy from our farmers because they can't. Their pork is millions and millions of pigs are being slaughtered because of the swine flu. They need our agriculture, and so things are going to change. But Trump is saying, "Hey, I am not going to continue to allow them to steal our intellectual properties, and when our companies go over there, they force them to give up their technology." So he wants a fair playing ground.
Phil, if they've been stealing our intellectual technology, how come the people who own that intellectual technology are having that intellectual technology produced in China?
Because they're greedy.
What do you mean because they're greedy? You would think they would want to protect their stuff, wouldn't you?
Well, sometimes you get mugged and you don't want to admit it.
By the way, we steal too.
Yeah, not like the Chinese.
And it like the Chinese. Like the Chinese, we steal too.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? Right. Okay, well, then I guess in China, so what?
We're not stealing their technology. It's really going one way.
We're not stealing their technology.
Right. And what are we stealing? What did we steal? We hired a bunch of Nazis to build an atomic bomb?
What did they steal?
Well, they have stolen
what?
A tremendous amount of our technology.
What? Name something.
Our atomic warfare technology, our planes, our defense systems.
No, wait a minute. Those are war things, and war things always get stolen. War things always get appropriated because that's part of war. I'm talking about what technology of ours have they stolen?
Well, Huawei, or how do you pronounce that phone company? Huawei? A lot of that technology was stolen from American companies.
What pieces of technology were stolen, Phil?
Ask me technical questions
I'm asking you. Charlie? Am I wrong to ask him what technology was stolen?
I can tell you technology was stolen. Can I tell you
all you can tell me is what Fox told you is what Fox told you, which is technology's been stolen.
Yes, it has. Okay, I will look at my phone and I will Google what technology. What technology?
Oh, jeez. Oh, Christ. Here we go. He's looking it up. He's looking it up on the internet. Yeah, the internet's always truthful. The internet is always truthful. The guy, almighty.
By China. Wait a minute. They are duplicating the Citizens Panel. They have stolen the Citizens Panel.
Really?
It's working over there. China Internet Report. Trends, technology. 5 cases where the U.S. Says Chinese companies and workers stole.
Yeah.
For Apple. Okay, so let me press this and I'll look at it and I'll tell you in a minute. This is 5 cases. And this is the Chicago Tribune.
Oh, okay. All right. The Chicago Tribune. Is that the fake news, Phil?
Chicago Tribune, probably.
Oh, okay. Well, then obviously it's not the truth.
Okay. To hear Americans tell it, the Chinese have gone on a commercial crime spree, pilfering trade secrets from seed corn to electronic brains behind wind turbines. California stripped off a T-Mobile robot. The U.S. says they've located trade secrets and robotic cars from Apple. Alleged victims to this crime spree are individual American companies whose cases lie behind the Trump administration's core complaint.
Then how come somebody like Apple is begging Trump not to put sanctions against China?
Well, first of all, it's cheaper there. They also have rare earths, which are needed. These raw materials are needed for the production of their phones.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right on that one, Phil.
Yeah. And, and it's cheaper to be made over there. And they've already stolen the thing, and they might as well sell to 1.2 billion people.
Right.
So U.S. officials charge Beijing is not only stealing trade secrets, but also pressuring American companies to hand over technology to gain access to the vast Chinese market. So if you want to be in the Chinese market, you got to give up your technology. You know, and so anyway, I mean, it's right there to read, and Apple is just one of them.
Okay.
All right. So, I mean, what's fair is fair. Also, in China, we're not allowed as an American to own a company there. You can only own 49%. Now, in this recent trade agreement with Xi Jinping is that now we can own 100% of the company. That will help stem the trend to steal the technology, because when they own the company, they take the technology.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Yeah, sure. Anyway. Yeah, you proved your point.
All right.
Let me see here.
So you're just trying to beat up the kid with cancer.
I'm trying to fix my thing here. It's falling apart here.
Mine fell off a long time ago.
This is my thing here, but the what do you call it? It's my my OBS. The part of one of the panels came off, and I can't get it back onto the.
What is it? One of the 3, 6, 9 or those panels? The 3, 6, or 9 panels?
It's a panel. It's just a panel that I pulled off by accident here, and it won't go back, and I can't figure out how you're supposed to get it back.
Use duct tape. Duct tape.
Yeah. No, I can't.
Or gaffer's tape works on everything.
It just won't even go back. It's just, who knows how you do this. Here, hold on a second. Let me see. In Tools, does it say? No, it doesn't say anything. It doesn't say anything. View. Four-screen surface. No. Docs. Let me see here. Reset UI. Let me see what happens. There we go. Oh, okay. Well, it's somewhat changed. Are you there? Yeah, you're all there. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Let me go back to this. Reset UI. Docs. Reset UI. Okay. There we go. And then I have to, for some reason, I've got to move this all up here. Wait a minute. Hold on. This is really, there we go. Okay, there we go. That's much better. Ooh, it's good. Okay.
I don't see any difference. Oh, I got to wait 30 seconds.
What? No. There's nothing that's going to change. I have a thing here where I have all these segments. You know something? I can lock this. There's a lock thing here, and it said lock UI. Okay, lock UI. Okay, there we go. Now it's gonna. Okay, there we go. Excuse me, folks. I just had, I fucked up here. So
Stephen Pearl posted something on Facebook yesterday about Bozo the Clown, saying that Bozo was a alcoholic and so forth. The one that used to visit the show. Is there any truth to that?
Well, there were no, because there were several Bozo the Clowns. There were many of them. They were franchised out to the markets. The original Bozo the Clown was actually Bozo the Capitol Clown, and Capitol Records had kids' records of Bozo the Clown. Mm-hmm. And the Bozo the Clown was played by Pinto Colvig, who was also the voice of Goofy. All right? So then all of a sudden they wanted to do Bozo the Clown as a TV show, and they started doing it in L.A., and then it was so popular, and they got somebody to play Bozo. I can't remember who. It may have been Pinto Colvig, for all I know. And then they did it in Chicago, and they did it in New York, and they did it in almost every major market. The only market that had it in the end was Chicago. But the idea that he was arrested, the question is, which one was arrested?
I see. Well, the one in New York, there was a TV show. Yeah. I would assume in those years it was local. Mm-hmm. But is it true that the guy who played Ronald McDonald was also Bozo the Clown?
No.
And there was a weatherman. There was a weather broadcaster.
That was what's his name? The guy over at NBC. He was originally
the weather guy, right?
Yeah, he was originally. I believe I think he was the clown on Super Circus.
Didn't he say hello?
Willard Scott is who you're thinking of.
Yeah.
And Willard Scott was, I believe, Bozo. Yeah, Bozo the clown was the clown on Super Circus. That's what he did. And then, of course, you go back to the really famous clown, which was Clarabelle the Clown on Howdy Doody, who originally was Bob Keeshan.
Oh, who became Captain. He was Captain Kangaroo.
He became Captain Kangaroo. Yeah. So, what was the last thing that ever happened on Howdy Doody show before it was canceled? The last thing, very last thing.
I don't remember.
Clarabelle, who never ever talked, looked at the camera and went, "Goodbye, kids."
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Voice sounds.
Yeah. So kind of clever, cute.
Yeah, you see, I guess when did they go off? Like 1960?
Who?
Howdy Doody.
Howdy
59 or 60?
It got to be maybe in the 60s. I think eventually, it became like a weekly show, and then, it just kind of slowly petered out.
I used to watch it occasionally, but I wasn't into that. I was more into Andy Devine had a show with Froggy and his magic Pachwanger.
Well, but you see, that was all wrong because it wasn't originally Andy Devine. It was originally on radio, and then early on in television was Smilin' Ed McConnell.
Well, I wasn't
and then Andy Devine got the job, and everybody remembers it as Andy's Gang.
Right. Hi,
kids. Yeah. I hated that version of it.
Really?
Yeah. But all those characters like Midnight the Cat and Froggy the Gremlin were all part of the Smilin' Ed gang. Okay.
So he ripped them off, huh?
Yeah. Well, he didn't rip
Just
them
like
off.
The Chinese.
I think what happened, either he died. I think it was McConnell died is what happened.
Yeah.
So they got Andy Devine in there to do it for him.
And Simba the elephant kid, the kid who rode the elephant.
Well, that's a whole bunch of other stupid fucking shows.
No, that was Andy Devine.
Bomba the Jungle Boy. I bet you can't tell me you played Bomba the Jungle Boy in the movies. I can.
Yeah, who?
This I can remember. I got these drugs in me, and this I can remember. I can't even remember Jack Garfine's name, but I can remember who was Bomba the Jungle Boy. Johnny Sheffield.
Who was that?
Who cares? Yeah. But that's what I know about those shows. And we've named every TV clown there ever was,
Yeah, and this clown isn't going to be here tomorrow because he's got photo club.
Good, you're going to go beat up on old guys who are blind and can't.
I didn't submit anything. I haven't had time.
Blind and can't take pictures.
I got to calibrate my printer.
Oh, really? Got to go calibrate your printer? Is that?
Yeah.
Is that like code for some other thing?
No. I have a. This is a.
Okay, well that's
calibration
enough.
device.
We don't need to know about that shit. Anyway, we'll see you then on Thursday. Hey, Charlie, great having you here. You're back again, and everything's.
No umpire tonight.
Huh?
The shelves are full.
What did you say?
I did no umpire tonight.
No umpiring.
No umpiring tonight. Okay, you umpiring tomorrow night?
Not supposed to.
Oh, okay. Well, then we'll expect. Well, it's your duty to be here. You too, Tony. Your
I'll
duty.
play tomorrow.
Huh?
I'll check in tomorrow.
Okay. And of course, Jeff, please, and then we can fill that square with somebody useful. Okay. Anyway, that's it. Everybody, give a big wave goodbye to the studio, to the viewing audience, and I will wave back at you. And oops. Gee, that was fast. I forgot to change it to just doing a fade. Okay, anyway, good night. Okay, guys. Anyway, that's it for tonight. We'll see. I can't get any of this straight. Let me just get rid of the citizen panel here. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Got to hang up on them. There we go. I got rid of them. And let's see here. Sign out. No, I don't want to sign out. Do I want to quit Skype? I want to quit Skype. I can't remember how any of this stuff is done now. These pills are making me goofy, folks. Anyway, that's it for tonight. I'm Alex Bennett. Tomorrow night, it's... we got the sports show on at 8:30 Eastern Daylight Time with the franchise MC at, let's see, at 9:30. We have the wonderful and attractive Jamie and Chaplin in the Exchange, and that will be immediately followed by me, right here on Gabnet. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye.